Thank you, Mr. Kikorian. Mr. Alarcon, thank you, Mr. Cardenas. All right, we're going to begin this council meeting. So media folks, people in the audience, let's go live. We're going to begin our meeting, so please pay attention. Thank you, Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Englander, Mr. Kikorian, Mr. Parks. I'm Councilmember Zine chairing the meeting today. And in the chambers, good morning, Los Angeles. This is Friday, August 5th. Los Angeles City Council meeting here. We are in the Van Nuys City Hall where we meet on Fridays every other month. So we welcome you to Van Nuys City Hall where we will be conducting this meeting this morning. We have 6 members present. We need 10 for a quorum. While we await the arrival of the quorum, we will begin with presentations. And our first presentation this morning, Mr. Cardenas, for our first presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I guess I should say in Spanish as well. Muchas gracias, bienvenidos. Welcome everybody to the City Council meeting of the City of Los Angeles. It is my honor to commemorate something that was an unprecedented event, an unprecedented coverage about the city of Bell, and which occurred and burst onto the international scene about a small city just south of the city of Los Angeles called the city of Bell. And today I want to take the opportunity to thank and honor 2 gentlemen who actually brought forth a city of Bell that now a year later is thriving compared to the turmoil that was occurring over a year ago, and it was through their leadership and tenacity that they were able to bring it to this point in the condition that it is, which is much, much better than it was before. In July of 2010, the city of Bell was devastated with a municipal scandal that made national and international headlines. At that time, it was revealed that Bell city officials were receiving unusually large salaries, perhaps the highest in the nation, from taxpayer dollars. To address this unprecedented scandal, Pedro Carrillo, appointed as the interim city administrator for the city of Bell, and James Gasso became the interim city attorney and tasked with restoring trust, ethics, and fiscal sustainability in the city of Bell. Together, Pedro Carrillo and James Gasso led the city's efforts to respond to countless subpoenas for documents and records from the district attorney and the attorney general and other federal, state, and local investigatory agencies, as well as hundreds of public records requests from the media and Bell residents. Consequently, Pedro Carrillo and James Gasso began helping to craft legislation, AB 900, authorizing the refunding of illegally charged taxes to Bell property owners. California state legislators quickly and unanimously adopted AB 900, and refund checks began being issued to constituents. Consequently, in March of 2011, Pedro Carrillo and James Gasso oversaw the next election in which voters turned out in record numbers to recall and replace city council members charged in the corruption scandal. During this process, they also helped craft additional legislation, AB 93, to provide an exception to the Elections Code so that the results of the election could be certified by the Los Angeles Board of Supervisors, and so that the new city of Bell city council members could immediately take office. Today, Pedro Carrillo and James Gasso continue to implement numerous best practices that are enabling the city of Bell to emerge from this situation with an efficient and transparent and trusted government. They have made significant strides in reforming the City of Bell's government and have helped ensure that the city's reliable day-to-day operations continue. As such, I'd like to acknowledge Pedro Carrillo and James Caso for their dedicated public service to the people of Greater Los Angeles and their unprecedented work in restoring efficiency and transparency to the City of Bell. I think it's very important for me to also note that this was an unprecedented situation, and to rectify it, at least two pieces of legislation needed to go through the state legislature and pass the legislature and be signed by the governor. And through the efforts of these two gentlemen, they were almost literally by themselves handling this problem in the City of Bell. They were actually able to get two bills through the legislature and signed by the governor. That in itself is unprecedented. I don't think there's a city in all of California who can actually say that in one legislative session, or shall I say in just a few short months, they were actually able to get well-crafted, appropriate language through the legislature to rectify an almost impossible problem in the City of Bell. And also, I'd like to point out that James Caso does not work for the largest firm in the country. It is a smaller firm by law firm's standards. And also, the other gentleman that we're honoring today, Pedro Carrillo, owns his own business. So once again, I think this is an example of the little train that could. This is an example of individuals when they bring their proper spirit, abilities, intellect, and will to make something better for the community at large. This is the reason why I believe that the City of Los Angeles should commend them and honor them for their unprecedented work. And with that, I'd like to give Pedro Carrillo an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman, members of the City Council, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here before you and accept also on behalf of my colleague James Caso. It's been a long road, but a road that has been rewarding because we've been able to service approximately 45,000 people that live within 2 square miles. 90% of those individuals are mostly Spanish-speaking, with really no representation. Ha sido un placer para mí asistir en esta capacidad, tener la oportunidad de ser administrador interino y de darle a la gente una voz. Duramos un año en este puesto y hemos tratado de hacer lo mejor para la comunidad. Le agradecemos al concejal Cárdenas y a todos los miembros del concilio aquí en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Just want to say thank you very much.
It's the governor calling. No, I'm just kidding. He thanks you.
Which one?
The current one.
Thank you, Mr. Cárdenas.
With that, once again, thank you, Mr. President and members. I think it's really important that as cities and as municipalities that we recognize that sometimes things need to change and need to change fast, as in the City of Bell, but also understand that it takes people who have the will, the intellect, and the ability to actually do the job that they've done here in the City of Bell. And it's amazing that there was a point in time that almost nothing was getting done in the City of Bell except for 2 individuals who went above and beyond the call of duty and certainly have been prepared and didn't realize how well they were prepared to handle such an unprecedented situation. So with that, I'd like to give this resolution to Pedro Carrillo, and on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, signed by all of the appreciative elected officials within the City of Los Angeles. And thank you for your unprecedented work and bringing this, restoring this smaller size city, because certainly compared to Los Angeles, less than 50,000 people, restoring it back to a place where people can have confidence in their government and understand that we expect that this shall never, ever occur again, and thank you for being the cleanup crew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cárdenas, and congratulations to City of Bell for their positive movement forward. We will now go to 3, 4, 5, 6. We're now at 8 members. Thank you, Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Cárdenas, Mr. Englander, Mr. Koretz, Mr. Kikorian, Mr. Parks, Mr. Rosendahl, and Councilmember Zine. We need 10 to begin our official meeting, so we'll continue with presentations while we wait for the arrival of our other members. Mr. Koretz, are you ready? Mr. Koretz, CD5 for your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I'm honored to be here this morning to recognize an organization that exemplifies the best of Los Angeles, the Encino Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber will be celebrating 75 years of improving business, the community, Encino, and the entire city of Los Angeles. Established in 1936, the Encino Chamber of Commerce builds strong ties between business and the community. The Chamber promotes economic growth of the community as a means to make Encino the best place to live, work, and play. With over 450 members, the Chamber works hard to benefit the business community in the San Fernando Valley. And its mission officially is the creation of an environment where business people can gather to exchange information, do business, keep on top of what is happening in the community, and give back to those who have supported them. Believe it or not, you all know who the founder of the Chamber was. It was none other than the star of the first talking motion picture, acclaimed actor, singer, and businessman and Encino resident, Al Jolson. From its unique inception, this group has always stood out as a shining example of what it means to be a community organization. One of the most notable features is the great Taste of Encino, where the Chamber closes down Ventura Boulevard and features the finest food, merchandise, entertainment, and community resources. And I can never walk out of there without bags full of goodies. This year's Taste will be held on October 9th, and I look forward to being one of the sponsors of the event. While the Chamber does many great things for business, including networking events, training events, marketing tutorials, a discount card, and other things, they go above and beyond to be engaged in the community. Their Emergency Preparedness Committee has won the praise of LAPD, and it works closely with all relevant organizations to make sure we're ready for anything. The Health and Wellness Committee puts out a senior directory that provides tools and resources for seniors. I could go on, but that's just a sample of the great work that's done by the Encino Chamber. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by CEO Diana Donovan and many of the distinguished board members of the organization. My office and I have worked closely with Diana, Linda, and Wendy, Sue Debron, Ricky Gelb, Vahid Khorsandi, Joel Simon, Kevin Steinberg, Hank Uloff, and just about all the board members. So I'd like to invite Councilman Englander to say a few words, followed by Diana and any of the board members that would like to say something.
Well, thank you. I'd like to say, first of all, Encino is not just a great place to live, work, and play. I was born in Encino, so it's a great place to be born. But to recognize so many great friends, Ricky Gelb, everything you do for the San Fernando Valley, and Vahid, and so many great friends that have done so much. This chamber has come through some tough economic times and survived and has grown and flourished. And it's an example for all chambers to get involved, to participate. It's a chamber that not only cares about local businesses, but the community. And so I wanted to congratulate you for being honored. I wanted to congratulate you for making it yet another year. Hopefully we'll have you back in another 25 years to celebrate again. And I have no doubt that we will. But to all the friends and really family that has got involved in the chamber over the years, congratulations, God bless you, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Councilman Koretz and Englander, and thank you, council members, for this honor today. As Councilman Koretz mentioned, the Encino Chamber of Commerce was founded in 1936 by jazz legend Al Jolson. Mr. Jolson wanted to get some streets paved around the area, so he decided to bring a few of his friends and neighbors together. Some 75 people attended that first meeting, including Spencer Tracy and his brother Carol, where Mr. Jolson was elected president. In 1940, radio actor Jim Jordan, better known as Fibber McGee, took over as president. Mr. Jordan's pet project was the creation of a fire department for the Encino community. For 75 years now, presidents of the Encino Chamber have been from a wide variety of industries and backgrounds. However, one characteristic has remained the same. They've all continued the strong commitment of safeguarding and promoting Encino's economic development and improving the quality of life for those who live and work here. Thank you.
My name is Hank Uloff. I'm one of those past presidents. We'd like to thank the LA City Council for making our job easier by helping us with Taste of Encino and our Teacher of the Year awards. We can't do what we do without this council, and we thank you very much for assisting us in that. We thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for honoring us today. I'd like to thank the council members for taking the time out and giving us their concentration and watching us being honored today. I'd like to thank Councilmember Paul Koretz for taking his time out today and coming in front of the board and or coming from the council and presenting us with nice recognition. Also, I want to thank a few council members who I've known for many years. Councilman Mitch Englander, who ran one of the best, cleanest elections ever in the history, I believe. Congratulations. Councilmember Zine for being almost 60 years of age and 40 years active with the state of Los Angeles. Councilmember Parks for many, many years ago convincing me to get an operation along with Mark Croker. Keep me here today. I appreciate that. And Richard Alacon, who was the person that got me started in politics back when he was working with Mayor Tom Bradley. So thank you, sir, and we appreciate everything you do for our community. I love the city of Los Angeles. I've been living in Los Angeles for 63 years, and I think it's the greatest place in the world. And if we can just figure a way how to get the business tax exempted, I think we would accomplish what we want to do and bring in more sales tax dollars and more employers. Thank you again for having me.
Ricky, we're working on that, and when people travel around the valley and they see call Ricky with that number, that's Ricky Gelb. All over the valley, call Ricky Gelb.
Good morning, Council. I am Vahid Korsan. I've been on the board of the Encino Chamber for 4 years, and Councilmember Koretz was talking about some of the civic activities we take on. As a chamber in the last 4 years, through the Senior Directory, Health and Wellness, Disaster Preparedness, H1N1, flu shots we've put together, health clinics, free health clinics, food drives, toy drives, book drives. We've done all these different things, not as a means to support businesses directly, but to support the community, because as this chamber understands, no business can thrive unless the community is thriving, and that's what we've driven for. And through the efforts with the local council offices and the chamber staffs and the board of directors, we've been able to do that. Thank you this morning.
Anybody else? They're all shy, Paul.
Well, thank you so much, and maybe Mitch can come up and take a picture with all of us since we share Encino.
Yeah. Mitch, don't take him out in the hallway. Do it right there. Mr. Krikorian, are you ready, sir? Okay. Our next presentation, when we complete the photos, will be Mr. Krikorian for the presentation. We're still awaiting the quorum. Okay, we're at 9 members. Mr. Wesson is arriving in the garage, I understand, so we will begin our formal meeting shortly. We're still on the presentations, and our next presentation will be by Mr. Krikorian, and then we have a couple more presentations, then we'll get into the agenda for today. So, next presentation from CD2, Mr. Paul Krikorian.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm very, very honored today to be able to join with my colleagues in commemorating the World Day for International Justice and to welcome the International Criminal Court Alliance to our chambers. Please join me in welcoming the President of the International Criminal Court Alliance, Jim Stanberry, the Vice President, Sharon Sherzadi, and the Treasurer, Sean Butler. And I think we have other board members as well. Come on up. Come on right on up. The International Court was created through the Rome Treaty in July 1998. This court tries individuals who are accused of the most heinous imaginable acts, such as genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. The cases that are presented to the ICC relate to the egregious, widespread violations of human decency. The International Criminal Court is designed first to promote national prosecutions, but we all know that many times nations are unwilling to prosecute these sorts of crimes, particularly when those nations are complicit in their commission. So that's where the International Criminal Court comes in, to act only when national judicial systems are either unable or not genuinely willing to investigate and prosecute these crimes against individuals and against all humanity. Today, we recognize and thank the ICC for holding accountable those who would perpetrate the most serious of crimes against the international community and against humanity. And I'd like to invite up to the microphone now the President of the International Criminal Court Alliance, Jim Stanberry. Jim?
I'm going to let one of the founders of our organization, our current treasurer, Sean Butler, make our response. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sean Butler, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the International Criminal Court Alliance. We thank you for your commemoration of the July 17, 1998 agreement by the international community to create the world's first permanent international criminal court. The ICC commenced operations in 2002. It's headquartered in The Hague, and 116 nations are now parties. Your support for the ICC is important. The ICC is a treaty-based organization, independent from the United Nations, but working in coordination with the United Nations. A case is admissible before the ICC only if there is no national court either able or willing to prosecute. The ICC has jurisdiction over the crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. These atrocity crimes continue to be committed on a widespread basis in too many parts of the world. In cases brought to the ICC to date, they are committed on a widespread basis. The fact that these crimes happen on such a large scale often reduces those situations to numbers in the minds of many. It's difficult to think about 5 million people killed over a 6-year period in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or 2.6 million internally displaced in Darfur. Several hundred women are raped as a policy or weapon of war every day. While the numbers are large, for each rape, the individual victims are somebody's daughter, sister, wife, or mother. Each child taken and forced to be a soldier while still a young teen is somebody's son or daughter. When a male of fighting age is mutilated so he's more of a burden than if killed, he's someone's son, brother, husband, or father. While those suffering directly may live half a world away from here, they bleed the same color of blood as any of us. Los Angeles represents refugees communities from many of the affected communities. President Garcetti introduced us to the Congolese community with Jules Boyel, who is here today, who is part of his district. Councilmember Labanja's niece volunteered for the program for torture victims here in Los Angeles, which deals with victims, including some from the families in these areas. But even were none of your constituents involved, this is something that's still important to us. Bringing perpetrators of atrocity crimes to justice is still our business. When the world said never again after World War II, we did so because we realized atrocity crimes are committed anywhere and justice does not follow. It lessens the humanity of us all. In the DRC, Uganda, Central African Republic, and Congo, the national governments asked for the help of the ICC because they were not able. The United Nations Security Council referred to situations in Libya and in Darfur, and these referrals demonstrate the need for your support. The more nations that are parties to the ICC, the stronger it will be. The United States is not a party, and we need local governments and individuals to show their support for the ICC, to show our elected officials in Washington that we need to be and join the ICC treaty. On behalf of the International Criminal Court Alliance, I thank you for your past support over several years, and we look forward to your continued support in the future. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Yes, sir.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. First of all, thank you for what you're doing. Being an openly gay guy, I'm fed up with them killing my people all over the planet, especially right now where in Uganda they put a list out of people to nail them, and in some of the other countries they've also taken very severe action against gays and lesbians. Tying that to all of the other outrageous behavior that you just outlined in some of the other countries. Enough is enough is enough. My question to you is, why is our government not supporting the ICC treaty? I'd like to understand that. Why?
The stated position of the United States government was that the reason they weren't joining the treaty was they were concerned about U.S. military personnel being taken before the court. However, my response to that is the complementarity provisions of the treaty provide that if there is a national court that's genuinely able and willing to prosecute, then a case is inadmissible before the ICC. Our military justice system is one of the best in the world. To think that if someone in our services committed a crime and wouldn't be held accountable is inconceivable to me.
Well, it's inconceivable to me, too. My second question has to do with the famines right now spreading across Africa. In Somalia, I unfortunately witnessed starvation in Ethiopia many years ago. People all on the side of the road dying. And now we see it again in 2011. We see folks in Somalia. It seems to be spreading to parts of Kenya and to parts of Ethiopia. How do we deal with that kind of a reality? And yet American troops, of course, are in Afghanistan and Iraq and these other kinds of situations where they frankly should be engaged in these kinds of issues. Then we have Haiti right now, again, under the hurricane watch and people living in temporary. How do we get our focus as the United States of America to be more involved with human rights and civil rights around the planet?
I think part of it is to take a focus away from money to the military and instead use a large and I'm not against the military. I think we need to have a strong military, but a lot of money goes to the military. If instead a substantial portion of those funds were used for other types of projects to try to raise people's standards of living, to show that we are compassionate as well as powerful, I think those would put the United States in a lot better stead than a lot of the things that we're actually doing.
Well, God bless you, and thank you for that. And thank you, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you.
Before us.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, members, for joining me in recognizing the great work of the ICC. We know that when the Armenian genocide was committed at the beginning of the 20th century, the world stood up and said that atrocities like this should never happen again, but no one was held accountable. After the Holocaust, as Sean said, we said never again. And yet, when Cambodia came and when all of the current genocides that are occurring around the world continue, when people are not held accountable, we almost guarantee that atrocities like that will continue into the future. So it's the work of people like those who are supporting the ICC and making it work that we are preventing future genocides from happening. And so on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I want to thank all of you for being here and being recognized today. We do have a resolution for you signed by all members of the council. I'm not sure if it got lost in transit. Maybe it's on its way to The Hague. I'm not sure. I think more likely there was just a little mix-up because we're in Van Nuys City Hall today rather than City Hall, but that will be delivered to you directly. But thank you very much for honoring us with your presence today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the fine work, and thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for that presentation. We are now going to officially begin our program, our council meeting, So welcome to City Hall. This is the Van Nuys City Hall. We are conducting our meeting today in the Van Nuys City Hall chambers. This is Friday, August 5th. We meet 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. All meetings are open to the public. For those of you who cannot make to City Hall, we are televised on cable channel 35 and also on the internet, lacity.org, or on council phone. We're going to call this meeting to order. And Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Weston, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present, and a quorum. Mr. President.
First item of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Parks, second by Mr. Rosendahl.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Councilmember Weston, second by Mr. Alarcon.
Mr. President, would you like to run through the agenda?
Yes, let's do the agenda.
Item 1 is an item for which a public hearing has been held.
Item number 1. Seeing no special. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Continue, please.
Items 2 through 7 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Any cards on 2 through 7?
Yes, sir, we do. All items 2 through 7.
So we will call them all special. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Those will all be called special. Colleagues, any specials that we haven't called? We haven't called all. Okay. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special public comment on today's agenda or presentations.
We will continue with our presentations. We have a presentation by the great 14th District, Mr. Jose Huizar. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will be joined up at the podium by my colleagues Richard Alarcon and Tony Cardenas as they make their way up to the podium. Is it Councilmember Richard Alarcon? This is Councilmember Tony Cardenas. And I'm really honored to be here today, standing next to Grammy Award-nominated pop singer Cristian Castro. Cristian, applause. Cristian has had a lasting chart presence since the early 1990s. He has proved himself to be one of the most consistently successful Latin pop artists of his time, returning to the upper reaches of the singles chart year in and year out and demonstrating a tireless work ethic as a recording artist. He is the son of 2 very popular Mexican entertainers, actress-singer Veronica Castro and comedian-actor Manuel Valdez. Cristian is a man of many talents who has graced the movie and television screens as an actor as well as the airwaves as a singer. He made his first television debut at a young age, appearing alongside his mother in the telenovela El Derecho de Nacer in 1981. And he continued to make various television and movie appearances throughout the rest of his career. Cristian shifted career focus to a singing career, releasing his first hit in 1992 with Agua Nueva. In English, Mr. Rosendahl means new water. Throughout his career, Cristian has sold over 10 million records and has garnered 65 gold albums and 31 platinum albums, which is truly impressive. His latest production, Viva el Príncipe, a tribute to Cristian's singing hero Jose, not this Jose, but the other Jose, the real singer, right? Has sold more than 650,000 units. The very talented Cristian Castro will be touring the U.S., Puerto Rico, and 12 other countries with more than 100 shows. And we are very happy that here in Los Angeles, he will be kicking off the Latin concert series at the historic Greek Theater with a very special performance. The Latin concert series is looking to bring more Spanish-language performers from all over the world to the Greek Theater, which is owned by the city of Los Angeles. And we're honored that Cristian has agreed to be the inaugural act for this very important concert series at the Greek Theater. So, for those of you who haven't bought your tickets, I'd say get yourself to the Greek tonight.
because he promises to give a once-in-a-lifetime performance. And now I would like to present my colleagues, Richard Alarcón and Tony Cárdenas, to share a few words with us as well. Richard?
You know, when we walked in today, we didn't expect to see all the press here today, and I thought it was for Mitch Englander's first day in the San Fernando Valley. But obviously there are others who have a claim. But I think the significant. I don't want the significance of this event to be lost on the City Council. This represents our economy. Our economy is based on a tremendous market that has not been tapped fully, and that is the Hispanic market. When I was a little kid and visiting my grandfather, and he would watch the bullfights or watch Spanish language TV in a very grainy Channel 34, it was hardly a market that was tapped by the general American public. But today, when you watch Spanish language TV on a multitude of stations, you see top quality performances, top quality talent, and top quality production. And I think that it's time that the City of Los Angeles, so I want to thank Councilmember Huizar for bringing this to our attention. It is time that the City of Los Angeles, who owns the Greek Theater, recognizes that we have this tremendous market that we can bring to bear to generate revenue for the City of Los Angeles. So, Christian, we want to thank you so much for giving us that opportunity. Of course, all the fans are here for other reasons, and maybe a little bit of me too, but I want to say that this is one of the ways to turn our economy around, is to recognize the incredible talent that is south of the border in a location that has a population of people of Mexican heritage of just greater than most of the cities in Mexico, with the exception of Mexico City and Guadalajara. So we want to thank Christian for his new endeavor, because I think it's going to be a tremendous endeavor for the City of Los Angeles as well. And so, again, thank you, Councilmember Huizar and Christian.
Thank you. Estamos aquí para dar la bienvenida a Cristian Castro y también a avisar al Greek Theater que ellos van a ver un éxito que nunca han visto en el Greek Theater, porque por la primera vez el Greek Theater va a empezar a tener personas como Cristian Castro que van a dar tanto servicio a nuestra gente aquí en Los Ángeles en español. Today we're honoring Cristian Castro as the Greek Theater kicks off its Hispanic or Latino endeavor of inviting more and more singers and songwriters and people who are going to perform at the Greek Theater. And I'm predicting that from today forward, the Greek Theater is going to have more seats sold quicker, and they're going to sell out more concerts than ever before. It's one thing to remember that Cristian Castro, I'm sure, feels very comfortable in Los Angeles because he was born in the city that has the most number of Mexicans living in one city. But he is actually now going to sing at the Greek Theater tonight in the second largest city of Mexicans in the world. So it's really important that we thank and congratulate the Greek Theater as they are a business, but recognizing and understanding that we have a lot of wonderful people in this town who love to hear their music in Spanish and who are going to have many, many more concerts to come. And to kick it off with Cristian Castro is probably they couldn't have picked a better performer. And in addition to that, I would like to ask Cristian Castro for a favor. My wife's going to kill me tonight when I tell her that I met you, I took a picture with you, we honored you, and I forgot to tell her. I did tell her good morning, I did tell her I love you, but she would probably give all of that away if I would have just remembered to tell her that Jose Huizar forgot to tell me that we're honoring Cristian Castro. So with that, I'd just like to thank you, Cristian Castro, for your wonderful work. You make me proud. You make all of us proud to know that we have a gentleman so talented, so good-looking, so wonderful that is willing to bestow his talent upon this great city of Los Angeles. And I predict that after today, we're going to probably see a lot more of Cristian Castro in Los Angeles. And I'm probably going to see more of my staff from all of my offices here. I've finally figured out why they're all here. I thought they were here to... I said, it's not my birthday, but anyway. I've never seen my staff so attentive and smiling so much or what have you. Once again, that's just an example of what talent Cristian Castro has, and also the wonderful, wonderful concerts that are going to come to the Greek Theater from here forward. Again, I predict that they're going to break records like never before. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And I get blamed for everything else. Now I'm blamed for your relationship. Today we're honoring the success and talent of a great artist. And tonight he will be singing at a venue that is owned by the city of Los Angeles. But it is managed, operated, and promoted by Nederlander Concerts, and they have done a fabulous job in helping with tonight's event and kicking off the Latin Artist Series. So I'd like to invite up to the podium Alex Hodges to say a few words. Alex.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, press, council. We're so proud tonight to host and to present Cristian Castro at the Greek Theater. L.A. is certainly the greatest city, and as a part of the assets of Los Angeles, the Greek Theater is the greatest venue, and tonight we're just going to have the greatest show. But it's congratulations on this honor for the city to give you this honor, and it's really well deserved, and we're so happy about the show tonight, and we'll release a few good seats, so those last-minute buyers better come on down. But congratulations, Cristian.
Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor, along with the City of Los Angeles and this council, to present to Cristian Castro a resolution giving him the recognition he deserves for a wonderful career, for not only being a great artist that has made us cry, dance, and romance, but also someone who has given his talents on the screen and who has shared many of those talents with the City of Los Angeles. And we're honored that he is here with us, not only in council chambers today, but also will be playing tonight at the Greek Theater. So, Cristian, de parte de la ciudad de Los Ángeles, es mi placer a presentarte este reconocimiento por tu éxito, por todo lo que has hecho y también por estar aquí con nosotros en la ciudad de Los Ángeles esta noche. Felicidades.
And sing it.
Yeah. Well, thanks to all of you for being here today, and I'm so honored. It's great honor to be here, and this has come in at a great time in my life because I just moved into Los Angeles area. So I'm so happy to be. So happy that you would include me as part of your family, because I really want to be family with you guys, and I'm so honored. My mother is going to be, so happy about this, and my father also. I dedicate this to all of the young singers and all of the Latinos that would have a dream about coming to the United States and try to break through with their music or with their voices. I'm so glad I'm here today. It's like I will never forget these moments, and I will carry on and honor this recognition through all my life. Thanks so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cristian, and thank you for being with us this morning. And so, like I said, if you haven't gotten your tickets, get yourself to the Greek tonight. And en español.
Okay, quiero decir que estoy muy orgulloso de ser uno de los latinos que puede llevar en alto el nombre de nosotros, de nuestro país, de México, de poder ser parte también de la familia de Estados Unidos de Norteamérica, y de que la gente aquí nos está tratando muy bien, también nos está dando todas estas licencias y estas oportunidades para crecer y para ser reconocidos como el día de hoy. Estoy muy agradecido con las personas que están aquí involucradas y muy agradecido con Dios, con la gente que me ha seguido, los fans. Muchas gracias a los fans. Ustedes son, pues, para mí es lo más importante, y les agradezco
pues tantas cosas lindas y tanta música, y que hoy sea uno de los días más importantes en mi carrera. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. And last but not least, a little logistics. If every other media could move over here, I'm sure Cristiano would love to talk to you. There's no official press conference, but that's where you could ask some questions. Que viva Los Ángeles, que viva los Estados Unidos, y que viva Cristian Castro. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Rosendahl is going to take over the chair while I do a couple presentations. Mr. Rosendahl.
Our next presentation is a distinguished colleague, Dennis Zine. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two presentations. One is for the representative from Korea, Bowen County Chief, which is basically the mayor from the town of Korea. If we could have him come forward for a presentation. Jung Sang-hyuk, Bowen County Chief from Korea, a visit to the city of Los Angeles. Good morning. And we welcome you officially to the City of the Angels. And we have this presentation, and you have an entourage with you, and we'll welcome them to our city council chambers here in Van Nuys. And I want to present this to you on behalf of the people of Los Angeles. And any words you'd like to say to our colleagues and the Angelinos?
Welcome, Your Honor. Welcome to our great city, and God bless you.
존경하는 의장님, 그리고 의원 여러분, 저에게 오늘 큰 영예를 주셔서 대단히 감사합니다.
Mr. President and the council members, thank you for this honor.
오늘 이 저의 영광은 저 개인적인 영광이 아니고 한국에 살고 있는 우리 지역 주민들 모두의 영광이라고 생각합니다.
This recognition is not for myself, but for the county of Bowen and the citizens of Bowen.
저는 앞으로 로스앤젤레스를 사랑하고 미국을 많이 사랑하겠습니다. Thank you very much.
From this day on, I promise that I will love City of Los Angeles for this giving us honor and recognition.
And the students, where are the students?
Yeah, County Chief or Mayor Chung is here with students from Bowen County, and that's the entourage right here. Yeah.
So all these students are from Korea, Bowen County,
right.
and visiting here in Los Angeles. Yes. So we welcome all of you, all the students. Welcome to Los Angeles. Welcome.
Can we take one picture? And I might say that our city welcomes you, and our Korean community is totally engaged in the city and all of its issues, and you will see the hospitality among the American Korean community with a warm welcome for you to come to our great city.
Over here.
Please. Mr. Englander.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming as well. My district represents the largest population outside of Korea, and the culture, the heritage, the family presence that you bring to Los Angeles is a warm welcome. So thank you again for everything that you do for us as well. And our home is your home. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Englander.
In Spanish, mi casa, su casa. There you go. Bilingual, what can I say? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine, for the presentation.
And I have one more for the San Fernando Valley Business Journal. If I could have those representatives please come forward from the San Fernando Valley Business Journal. Someplace. Here they come. Here they come. The San Fernando Valley Business Journal is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. It's the best source of local business news. The award-winning publication prints top company lists, breaking stories, big deals, business advice, executive profiles, and news and information that helps business understand and succeed in their local business environment. March 1996, San Fernando Valley Business Journal launched its first issue. Major focus of the publication has been documenting the growth of the Valley over the past 15 years. At the time of the launch, the publication was distributed monthly under the editorial direction of its sister publication, the Los Angeles Business Journal. The first issue in 1996 averaged 20 to 28 pages per issue, was distributed to 3,000 readers in the greater San Fernando Valley region. In 1998, publication was successful enough to publish biweekly, and readership had grown to 6,000. Today, the publication has almost 18,000 readers, continues to serve business and community leaders in the San Fernando region of Los Angeles, Glendale, Santa Clarita, Burbank, Conejo Valley, Simi Valley, City of San Fernando, Calabasas, Agoura Hills, and the Antelope Valley. The award-winning publication prints top company lists, breaking stories, big deals, as we know yesterday was a big deal in the stock market, a bad big deal, business advice, executive profiles, providing the readers with local business news to help their businesses grow and thrive. Supplying information that helps and keeps business moving in the right direction is positive for our community during this time of economic uncertainty, which is why I am honoring them today. And we have with us the honor of representatives from the president and publisher, which is Peggy Matsuda, and other representatives from the San Fernando Business Journal, 15th anniversary, signed by the council, mayor, our city family, recognizing you and your great crew that keeps on producing that and helping business, because when business thrives, the city thrives. And Peggy, the microphone is yours.
And first of all, Mr. Englander will say a few words as well.
I've got to say something about my friend Peggy Matsuda, who I've known for many years, who does so much for the San Fernando Valley, as well as Jamie, who we started the JCs together and have done so much. He's now moving into the 12th Council District, so we'll have another voter. But more importantly, the Business Journal. For all you do, not just working with small local companies throughout the San Fernando Valley, but recognizing leaders. You have a lot of different leaders and Distinguished Leader Awards. I know I was honored as the first ever recipient of the 40 Under 40 award, and I was hoping that perhaps you would think about starting one for the 60 and over, and I would nominate Dennis Zine then for that as a first recipient for that. But I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you for everything you do, and God bless you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. Englander, for that. And Mr. Zine is now 64.
Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you, Dennis. And to all of our city council members, we are honored to be here today to accept this recognition. And as Dennis said, we have been proud to publish the San Fernando Valley Business Journal for the past 15 years and many, many years ahead. And thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a constituent who wants to talk about paving the streets? Right. Potholes? When he closes escrow. All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Okay, now we're finished our presentations, and we have an agenda that we're going to be going through, and Mr. Zine will be coming back up to chair the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bill.
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special or public comment.
Let's
on
do public
items not on
comment, and
council's
then we'll
agenda.
do the special items. We'll do public comment. We have representatives from the community here and also downtown. We'll start here with Rick Nightingale. Mr. Nightingale.
Yeah, Rick Nightingale. I'll tell you, I really liked Janice Hahn when she was here as a person. Politics, I disagree with her completely. I'm glad she got this new seat as Congress, but I think it really sucks that you people in politics can turn around and jump from job to job, and it costs us millions of dollars. You accept a job when you apply. If you don't like the job, quit the job and go get the other job. Don't stay in the same job, because then if you lose the election, you get to come back to your old job where you haven't been doing your job probably for the last 6 months while you're running for another job. But then when you get elected for the job, it costs us $1.5 million or so to have a re-election to turn around and fill your seat that you abandoned. I mean, what kind of a deal is this? It goes, like they said in the paper, you people just go from job to job to job and that stuff and work for the government. I agree, working for the government's great. You got all the bennies, you get to retire early, get to collect all the pensions. It's really great. But we get the short end of the stick because we have to pay for it when you decide to leave the job and turn around and go for another job. I don't mind you leaving your job, but I think you should have to quit your job to run for another job. Now, if you want that job well enough, you quit. And then you turn around and you apply for that other job and you run. And if you lose, then you reapply for the job you had before. And if they like you, they do it. As far as I'm concerned, if I wouldn't vote for anybody that quit in the middle of a session to turn around and leave us hanging out to dry. And then let's go back to like everybody's blaming the Tea Party for all this and the Republicans, what's going on in the financial thing. It is your fault, you public. Your fault for voting these people in and letting the government do what they're doing. I'm telling you, people better wise up. Thank you.
Sharon Brewer.
Sharon Brewer, public comment. I just want to take and suggest that the City Council follow neighbored councils in that basically they are sitting at their seats. They're not, hopefully not talking to anybody, and they're giving the people that come before them hopefully their entire attention. I appreciate the council members that are sitting at the table or their seats. I want to take and talk about Council File 11-0724, signs at city-owned facilities and parks. That will be heard on Tuesday, August 9th at 2:30 at the City Council's Plum Committees, is that they're taking up the new sign ordinance that could permit commercial signs in city parks. I want to discuss the lack of timely notification to neighbored councils regarding such an important issue that could impact their stakeholders who go to the parks. How can neighbored councils outreach to stakeholders about upcoming city issues like this proposed sign ordinance if city committees and council members do not let the NCs know at the beginning what the city is proposing? After receiving an email yesterday, I went online this morning to check the Plum meeting agenda. It was not posted and I couldn't find any document with any wording for this proposed ordinance. I request that Plum does not take any action on August 9th regarding Council File 11-0724, signs at city-owned facilities and parks for at least 90 days, giving neighbor councils times to notify stakeholders, have the issue go to any committee they have, and being able to take agendize the issue at their monthly meeting. Basically, if I wouldn't have gotten this information, I wouldn't know about it. Lake Balboa was one of the parks that ended up having the Yogi Bear sign proposed, and we did not get any notification except for checking Rec and Parks agenda. So I would hope that they can take and propose doing anything about this.
Donna Pearman. Donna Pearman?
Yes. Thank you. Anyway, the MOU 9 wants to retire health care, no concessions. We need to vote it in. We'll make it easy to put it in. We need 100 participation and retiree health care now. I'm speaking for Marion Vogler, who's sick because of this problem. And I want to say hello to Mr. Garcetti, wherever you are, from your greatest fan. We are losing our city council. Janice Hahn is gone. I miss her. And Councilman Cardenas might be leaving to go for Congress. Our politicians that work for county, city, state, and federal need, besides the taxpayers, should be the ones that work for our employees. The public employees, most who work hard on doing their services well. Those who work with the public try as well as they can to serve the public, and they try to make it smooth as possible. Those who do services that people use, like sanitation, try to work hard to make the services run smoothly. Taxpayers here, The public servants work hard to keep this city running smoothly. We need those. We don't need those who don't work fool the taxpayers into believing that city employees are giving huge pensions and other benefits that others don't get. Maybe the huge CEOs and top administrators. But the others do not get any more than the private sector of the caliber. They probably get less. And the city council, your job is not done till all city employees have retiree health care. You only should get yours after you get 100% participation. That's when you can get your retiree health care. They all need to get it. And you talk about Bell, the city council, we need to get your house in order. Let's speak about the extra perks the city council gets. Free cars, these required health care, free tickets, you name it, they get free cars, free gas. When the public, when they want to come over here, they should be speaking about the city council. Thank you.
Edward Kingsbursky.
Yes, I have two issues I'd like to bring up. One is the inefficiency of the Parking Violations Bureau. I apparently had received a ticket for parking on street sweeping day in the city, and I didn't see a ticket there, but apparently they sent me something in the mail, and by the time I received it, I had been in Palm Desert for the previous month. So by the time I paid it, it was late. So I didn't hear anything for a month. I paid the $68 fine, and then I get a notice saying that I owe $117. That's on top of the $68. Something needs to be done. First of all, like I said, I didn't even know that I had received a ticket, and I paid it as soon as I was aware of it. And even if somebody was to misplace a ticket and pay it a couple days late, turning a $68 ticket into a $185 ticket seems outrageous to me, and there's nothing that can be done. I called and spoke to 4 different people. They didn't tell me anything and said, there's nothing that can be done, just pay the ticket. I was so upset I went to your office, or their office on Van Nuys Boulevard, and they told me the same thing, so I yelled at the clerk, and she gave me a paper to fill out saying, well, you can try and do this. They sent me back something saying exactly what they'd already told me. You paid it late, so pay this $117 extra. There used to be a gold card, and apparently some of the city council or the mayor, I don't know who, abused that. So there's no way that there's any way to contact anybody, to speak to anybody. Something needs to be done. Mr. Krikorian, actually you represent the area that I live in, and I've spoken to Mary, who works for, she's been a great help in many ways. But she said there's nothing that they can do. There's a phone number for me to call or her to call. It would be the same thing. Something really does need to be done about this.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Krikorian, I think we'll speak to you on the side. Thank you. That matter can be taken up on the side. No, your time's up, sir. But Mr. Krikorian will address your issue. Let's go downtown now, folks, to John Walsh. John Walsh in downtown Los Angeles, City Hall downtown.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org calls on Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa to step down immediately as leader of the U.S. Conference of Mayors in light of the growing number of FBI investigations targeting Mayor Villaraigosa's administration. For shame, Antonio. He is becoming a national embarrassment, and the city of Los Angeles is becoming a pariah, particularly with the latest scandal concerning kiddie porn. Furthermore, HollywoodHighlands.org, please visit us, Hollywood Highlands, HIGHLANDS.org, calls on all city council members to join us in supporting the LA mayor's removal in light of the FBI's child porn investigation swirling around the mayor's administration. I asked him yesterday at city council, at the MTA board meeting, he didn't answer. And now we have Al Abrams claiming The tumor made him do it. Remember Geraldine from Flip Wilson? The devil made him do it. And I will be dealing with this in detail. But I'd like you to know that Mr. Al Abrams is on the board of trustees of Meerman School, where the children are 5 to 12 years old. And if there's anybody out here, that's on Mulholland Drive, who knows anyone who has a child at that school or has had it in the past, I ask you to go to the chairman of the board of trustees. I think we need an investigation. Was there child pornography? Was there kiddie porn? What's going on in this city? HollywoodHighlands.org.
Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. You know, it's pretty interesting. When I came down here, City Hall, there was a agenda left over from the Wednesday, August 3rd meeting of the ad hoc committee on the stadium and the convention center renovation. And so I looked at it to see what I had missed. And subject item number 1 said, didn't say anything about a non-binding memorandum of understanding. It says memorandum of understanding between the City of Los Angeles and Ann Schultz Entertainment Group, setting forth the general terms and parameters for the development of the event center, parking garages, the new LACC new hall, and related matters. That's item number 1. Item number 2 mentions work for the financial advisors and bond counsels retained by the CAO for the proposed downtown stadium and the event center project. But it doesn't mention anything about the LACC new hall. Item number 1 mentions 3 projects: the event center, the parking garages, and the LACC new hall. Item number 2 mentions the stadium and the event center. So what is it? Is it 3 projects? Is it 2 projects? But we have open and transparency. In addition, as I mentioned a couple days ago, the wonderful people at AEG have decided that they will accept the bonds instead of having the city issue them for the parking garages. So the $300 million that the original asked for is now $175 million. But they're only accepting $80 million in bonds. So there's only a difference of like $40 million, maybe $50 million. Chump change. But we have open and transparent negotiations going on. It should be a wonderful meeting on next Tuesday.
Nancy Sanchez. Nancy Sanchez in City Hall. I don't think Ms. Sanchez in City Hall, so let's come back to Van Nuys. That completes public comment, Mr. Clerk, so let's proceed with the next item, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to item 2, called Special 4 Cards.
Number 2, we have 2 public comment cards downtown once again, Arnold Sachs and John Walsh. Number 2, gentlemen.
Arnold Sachs. The contractor's compliance with all contracting requirements. What if that's a non-binding contract? I mean, I'm looking at an article also in today's Daily Breeze regarding a contract that was made out for some property. And part of it was certain requirements to be met by one of the people in the contract. And yet they were able to negotiate as if the contract didn't exist. So what is the value of having the city sign these contracts, or have the city getting involved in the contracts? This is one I read about in the newspaper, involves some property. What are the penalties? This is just more open and transparent government by the sitting city council.
John Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at Hollywood Highlands, HIGHLANDS.org, 100,000 successful server requests per month. Email us your documents at HollywoodDems, DEMS, at gmail.com. Facebook us, join us, become a friend at Mickey Jackson, MIKI Jackson. This issue, number 2, Project Oversight Committee. Relatively unimportant. You're actually doing a good job here. I don't come up here every time to criticize you, only when you're wrong. Good job, number 2. Thank you.
Mr. Parks?
I'd like to, in addition to move this report, ask that we can add one instruction that the Project Oversight Committee provide a short status report on the FMS and account receivable element and the FMS SMS integration to IT, GA, and budget finance. And we'll get that in about 30 days.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Parks. Any other comments on 2? With that, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, please.
Number 3, called special for cards.
Number 3, we have cards from Arnold Sachs and John Walsh downtown. On number 3. Gentlemen?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This is very, very important because we need some new rules about appointments. Nazario Salceda, I ask that you change your rules and have a thorough physical examination of everyone you appoint to a director of the Bureau of Street Services here, any other appointment, any other commission. Why am I asking for this? I'm asking for this because the president of the Neighborhood Board of Commissioners, Al Abrams, which you voted for, now says his health was so bad, a tumor made him download 4-year-old
This is regarding the mayors relative to this particular appointment, not about Mr. Abrams.
I want to know from now on, every single person you appoint, are they in good health or are they possessing a devil tumor, which according to the mayor and according to Mr. Abrams...
We're not talking about Mr. Abrams for the second time. If you don't get back on focus, you're now going to continue to complete your comments. Okay, Mr. Walsh, you're done. Mr. Sachs.
Because the whole thing. Councilman Zahn, I don't have cards in on 4 and 5. I don't have a card in on 3.
Well, Mr. Sachs, there was a card.
Big dog. Yeah, big dog.
Yeah.
At any rate, on number Mr. Weezer, and then Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to rise and support this appointment of Nazario as the interim director of the Bureau of Street Services. As the chair of Public Works, I've had the opportunity to work with him closely on a number of issues, whether it's the finding a solution to our lack of available long-term funding for sidewalks or tree trimming or street resurfacing. I think Nazario has been creative in proposing creative ways on how we move forward. He has done a great job, and I just wanted to stand up and support this. And just to mention publicly that I appreciate when you present items, you present all options available, and with a thoughtful and thorough analysis on all the options that are available to us. We truly appreciate that, and tell us the pros and cons of each one of those recommendations and how we should move forward. You recognize the importance of us working collectively and deciding how do we move forward. And as a chair of Public Works, I certainly appreciate it how you've moved forward on that. So I fully support this reappointment and for another 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I tell you, if I was mayor, I'd make them permanent. because he's a great guy. I got to know him when I was chair of Public Works, and he was the number 2 guy. But he was really the incredible guy who put the options in front of everybody and worked it out. In my district, we have many issues all the time, and I have found him to be incredibly engaged with the community. His staff has been fabulous, and I think he's a great leader in our city, and obviously I think we should reconfirm him. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work and serving the constituents the way you do.
Thank you, Councilmember Rosendahl.
Mr. Koretz, then Mr. Cardenas, then Mr. Parks.
I think Mr. Rosendahl said it perfectly for me. I think my only concern is that you're not made permanent by this action, but I would love to see it. There's nobody that can be more responsible and responsive and effective in this job than you. So I thank you for your great work so far and hope you are able to continue for many years in this position.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mr. Cardenas?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what my colleagues have said. Nazario has done a fine job at many levels in this city, and he's actually been doing a great job at his current responsibilities. So I would hope that the mayor's staff and or the mayor would listen to this tape and realize that I certainly support you continuing to run this department, yet at the same time I really wonder why you haven't been interviewed for a permanent position. With all due respect, that's in the purview of the mayor. I respect that, but I just want to publicly say to the people watching and also to the mayor and the mayor's staff that from our interactions from my office and District 6 and all the matters that have come through whatever committee where you or your people have had to present and do a job for us and report to us, I think that we've had stellar work coming out of that office from your leadership, and I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I appreciate your patience, and I understand the respect that you have to give to all of us, not trying to overburden us with whether or not you like the permanent position, but whether you want the permanent position or not, you have my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mr. Parks, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm sorry, I just wanted to find out, during the budget hearings, we talked at great length about the issue of trying to resolve our street and alley issue and also dirt alleys. I want to know if we've made any progress on that.
Yes, Councilmember Parks. Your staff took the lead, and we met with your staff and several departments, including DOT, BOE, Street Services, and we are trying to determine the best possible way to incorporate those alleys to the street system so they can qualify for funding such as gas tax and all the other sources of funding that come from the state. Yes. I think we will have more solid information within the first week of, within the next 1 or 2 weeks, I think. You know.
Yeah, I think that was the one part that you just commented. I don't think we added to the discussion was how it would put us in a situation to gather more gas tax or state funds if I think it's 800 miles of alleys were added to our street program.
That is correct. Right now, the city has approximately 800 miles of alleys, of which 400 are considered unimproved. And our definition of unimproved is that those alleys were constructed without plans, without the proper infrastructure, without the right base, without the right drainage infrastructure. So right now we are creating a very, very solid inventory. We know for a fact that there are 18 miles left of dirt alleys. We have, again, approximately 150 miles of alleys that need resurfacing badly. But again, once we dissect the state law to determine how can we make those alleys qualify for state funding, then we're going to be in a better position to move forward and fund those alleys from this point on.
The one thing I've not heard that term before, unimproved, is that's a different group than the paved alleys that we have, so there's another group of concerns?
Yeah, that is typically and I'm glad you're asking this question, Councilman, because a lot of times people see an alley that has asphalt on the surface, it doesn't mean that the alley is considered improved. It's only improved if the alley was built under city specifications, and there is a plan signed by the city engineer indicating that this alley represents the best interest of the city. We have 400 miles of alleys, including 18 miles left of dirt, 400 miles that were built without any specifications, and they look solid. They have asphalt, but it doesn't mean that they are improved.
If they're unimproved, would that include that the drainage isn't there? Okay, I see. So that's what we're talking about on the 18 miles. You're going to have to construct with the drainage and all that, so that's just not putting asphalt down.
That is correct.
My final question, when you get through with all this, will that also make the alleys, once they're improved or paved, a part of the street cleaning program? Can the street sweepers...
The problem with the alleys being so narrow is that our sweepers are a little too wide. We would have to purchase different sweepers with different configurations in order to squeeze the sweepers inside of the alleys, because our sweepers are extremely wide.
Because as we talked at budget, we're trying to get to the point that we don't have to sit down and think about money for streets and then figure alleys are being ignored, that we can talk about the entire city street program and fund it and get them clean, and then each office can give you some clarity as to their priorities in a given year. But this 3 or 4 pots of money that we use just gets unwieldy sometimes.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
That's our final speaker. Any closing comments? No closing comments. Let's take the vote. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Congratulations for 6 more months. Pardon me?
That brings us to item number 4, called Special for Cards.
Donna Pearman. And Mr. Rosenthal, she's excused today.
First, I want to make myself clear on the one thing, that City Council does not get free health care. It's 9% to 11%, but they get it without giving up anything else. Anyway, speaking on number 4, the politicians leave before they're termed out. We are the ones who have to pay for the special election. I believe when the politician leaves before his or her time, they should help pay for the special election along with their colleagues. I understand that we need a special election because we need council seat number 15, but those who make $200,000 salaries should have a fundraiser with all their friends, and probably we can use the CRA money that's not needed anymore, and having that, so we should stop having the taxpayers pay for special elections, and this is why the city employees are having problems, and why they have to keep giving everything, because the city is misspending money when we have especially things like this, special elections. She went out. I miss Janice Hahn, and I like her very much as a councilwoman, and I hope she does well in Congress, but we can't have the taxpayers keep on paying for these special elections. If you want to go out before your time is over, then you figure out a way so that it costs at least half as much as what it's costing us now. We got to stop misspending. Thank you.
We will go downtown to Arnold Sachs and John Walsh, number 4.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. Based on expanding this amounts of cut money appropriated for this election, it'll cost over $22 million for the elections for the 15 seats on the city council every 4 years. That's a lot of money. Maybe you could enter into a non-binding MOU with a friend of the city's, like Ann Schultz Entertainment, and have them co-sign some bonds so that you can raise the funds to pay for the elections. It wouldn't be like they're buying your vote. They'd be friends. They'd be assisting the city in meeting the needs to provide the candidates that so wonderfully run the city. And it'd be, you know, like a non-binding MOU. No problems, which would be different than an MOU, because then people might be concerned and say, hey, there's something fishy going on with the deep pockets in LA and the candidates that always seem to end up winning the elections.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. As a taxpayer, I do not mind at all paying the $1.5 million from the reserve fund for the special election. It's a bargain. $1.5 million to get rid of Janice Hahn, I'm happy. If another $1.5 million out of the reserve fund would get rid of Eric Garcetti, I'd pay that. 15 times $1.5 million? See you all gone. Let's reelect another full council. But on this issue of the special election, I am asking that every single candidate that you pass a motion, the city council, that every single candidate voluntarily be asked to undergo a physical. Apparently there is a virus at City Hall that
This is about the funding, Mr. Walsh. About funding. It's not about physical. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Is there anybody from the city clerk's office here?
City clerk's representative, please come forward.
There's not, I guess. Look, I know we're going to vote yes on this.
June will be available from City Hall, I understand.
If he's there, good. I'd love to talk to
June
him.
Gibson.
Okay.
Oh, June Lagme? Okay, June Lagme. Wrong June. Well, this is August. June was 2 months ago. Now it's August.
Gibson's always involved in everything.
Gibson's responsible for everything. June Lagme, I think she's downtown.
Yeah.
Okay, can we get her to come to the microphone?
Yeah.
She's coming to the microphone.
Terrific. And while
There's the microphone, and where is she? Holly's on the way, on the remote from downtown? Okay, we're going to stand by while...
Okay, and while they're doing that, let me just make a point. Colleagues, $1.5 million is something that we really have to do, obviously, to make it happen. But as we get ready for the next election, which is in less than 2 years, there will be two of us who would be running for re-election, I would assume. And if people vote us in, that's that. But then there's 6 open seats. And we really need to get the direct mail piece or the vote by mail in place. We really need to have the steps put in place now, talking about 2013, so that we can have a strategy, since it's off-year elections. It's not tied to the president or the governor or these other things. And it's the odd years, you know. We don't get much of a turnout, but we would get a greater turnout if we focused on that election now with other strategies that are not expensive, like, you know, doing it through the mails, as well as lessening the number of public places where we have to do it and hire people to do it. It's very expensive. We're not tied to the county or the state or the federal government elections, and therefore, as a separate entity, it costs the taxpayers in L.A. significant amounts of money. And I more care about the lesson we can learn from what the constituents have just said, and we all feel about the cost of this election, and more importantly, as we get ready for 2013, how we're going to prepare ourselves for that. And then we also know that 2015, there'll be another sweep. Because of term limits, the maximum amount a council member can serve is 3 terms or 12 years. So I think we should see this as a benchmark moment, and the city clerk's office should be preparing a strategy for 2013 that we can engage and be part of, not at the last minute, like
Rosenthal.
Obviously we are here.
Okay, let's go downtown. I think we have the representative. There you go.
Good morning, council members.
You just respond a little bit.
City Clerk. Respond to Mr. Rosenthal's comments. Yes, sir, we are in continual preparation for the next cycle of elections, and in order to go vote by mail or reduce the number of polling sites, this would require a charter amendment. But as far as any efficiencies gained or continuing to work with the county, we are definitely in preparation for the 2013, or in the process of preparation for the 2013 elections.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I want you to also look at the idea of charter reform for this, because this is frankly an issue where taxpayers' money is spent in this process, and I'd like to spend less of it, but make it more broader and a greater scope of it, and I think we can do that, and if it means a charter change, then let's do a charter change, but at least put that option in front of us so that we can figure that out and we can find ways in which we can be frugal with the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. See no one else on the queue. Holly, thank you for your comments. And with that, let's open the roll. Mr. Parks, were you going to say something?
As you vote forthwith.
All right. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Forthwith, Mr. Parks. Next item, please.
That brings us to item 5, called Special for Cards.
Arnold Sachs, number 5.
Thank you again, Arnold Sachs. Another sidewalk median repair job without the parameters of involving the CRA, because some of these projects, sidewalk repair and median repair, are CRA funded. This is again coming from the Street Furniture Revenue Fund. And what's interesting here is that it's for the planning, design, and construction management of the sidewalk median, but there's no funding for the actual construction. So while you're planning and designing it, do you have an idea in the budget how much it would cost to do this actual median sidewalk repair at the intersection of West Silver Lake Drive and Angus Street? Because without money in the budget, then there is no construction management needed either. But again, you know, these are just looking for open and transparency from the sitting city council.
Number 5, colleagues, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Number 6, please, Mr. Clerk.
Number 6, called Special for Cards.
John Walsh, number 6. John Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. You want to know what's really happening in the city, come to us. Notice on this issue, they're scheduling a closed session on August 12th, Arden versus the City of Los Angeles. This is a city of secrets, open secrets and closed secrets. And I don't mind it, except when it's a 4-year-old child that's the victim.
Number 6, colleagues, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate. Mr. Parks.
10 ayes.
Mr. Parks had his finger waving before we.
Well, we have one instruction during this.
Okay, we didn't close the roll, so.
Okay. I just want to add one instruction.
I know, so we're still open on it. So,
Okay.
Mr. Parks.
Okay, just an instruction to the CAO that during this briefing he's to provide us with a overview of potential payment strategies if we should lose this case.
So that'll be added on to that. Now on that item, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item 7, called Special for Cards.
John Walsh, number 7. Downtown for John Walsh. John Walsh, number 7. John Walsh is not there. On number 7, colleagues, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Weezer requests to be excused on September 13 due to city business. That meets council policy.
That's approved.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused on September 6, 7, 13, 14, 16, 27, 28, and 30 due to personal business. That meets council policy.
Mr. Englander is not supporting that, but the rest of us are, so that's approved.
The desk is clear.
All right. Announcements, colleagues. Let's go around the room for announcements. Mr. Rosendahl, announcements.
Yes, Mr. President. In Brentwood on Sunday, we have a bicycle race. I'll be there at 1:30 to kick off a part of the events, and I encourage people who like to get on a bicycle. Like you guys know, I hadn't been on one in 30 years. I'm not going to be racing this time, but I will be watching it. And so if you're into bicycling, come over to Brentwood and San Vicente and get involved in that race and have a great time. Thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl, I will remind you, you were on the back of a Harley-Davidson a couple years ago. Balance is very important.
That's right. And in fact, that's what I realized when I got back on the bicycle, that it just gets your balance right and you can just get moving. But wear that helmet, I say to people. And frankly, there's laws that cyclists need to respect as well, not just the anti-harassment law that we all passed. They need to be more respectful to auto drivers as well.
Very well.
Thank you.
Keep them safe. Other announcements? Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to advise the public that for those that are, we're notified having a mortgage issue with Bank of America, they're having a community outreach event August 4th through August 6th at the LA Convention Center, Concourse Hall E and F, and that's at 1201 South Figueroa, and there will be complimentary parking in the West Hall parking lot. So they're doing outreach dealing with foreclosures in the community. Also, on August the 6th and 7th, the 6th Annual New Orleans Cultural Festival at Lemert Park parking lot behind the Vision Theater. And the final one is that we have a City Lights mixer that will be held at Mavericks Flat, 4225 South Crenshaw, and that's 6 o'clock on August the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Any other announcements? Mr. Alarcon.
Yes, I just wanted to announce an oldies car show at San Fernando High School on O'Melveny Avenue in Mission Hills. That will be Sunday, August 7th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Mr. Cardenas?
Thank you very much. I'd just like to add to what Councilmember Huizar talked about earlier during the presentations portion about how Nederlander is kicking off a Latino concert series. Just want to let people know what the connection is between that and the City of Los Angeles. The Greek Theater is actually an asset of the people of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles. Nederlander is the contracted organization that actually provides all the bookings and stuff. They basically run it. We own it, but they run it. And just wanted to, again, thank Councilmember Huizar for taking the opportunity to let people know that that's happening. And the reason why it's a good thing for us to announce is because we own that asset. The more successful the concerts are at the Greek, the better the people are in when we do contract with somebody, the more money we can get from it. Everybody's happy. It's a win-win situation. And also I just wanted to clarify for those of you who heard Councilmember Huizar when he said, Viva Los Angeles, Viva Los Estados Unidos, and Viva Cristian Castro. He's just basically saying, long live Los Angeles, long live the United States of America, and long live Cristian Castro. It's just a traditional thing that is said in Spanish, but that didn't get translated, so I just wanted to make sure people understand.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Adjourning motions, colleagues? Please stand. Adjourning motions. Mr. Alarcon, first adjourning motion. Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Sister Andrea Cortez Baeza, who passed away on Monday, July 25th. Sister Andrea was 96 years old. Though Sister Andrea measured well below 5 feet in height, she was revered as a larger-than-life leader at Guardian Angel Church in Pacoima. To many residents throughout the Northeast San Fernando Valley, Sister Andrea is known as the small nun who organized food sales at church fiestas after every Sunday service, and especially at the celebration of our Virgen de Guadalupe. But within the Guardian Angel church family, Sister Andrea was much more. She was a spiritual leader who never allowed obstacles to prevent her from serving the poorest of the poor and the sick within the Northeast San Fernando Valley. Sister Andrea was known to always place others before herself. According to Sister Andrea, her office was on the school grounds near the 5th grade at Guardian Angel School, because it was there that she would visit hundreds of community members to offer advice and understand the needs of the community while she sold baked goods, champurrado, and coffee. Until the day of her passing, Sister Andrea was an extraordinary 96-year-old woman of sound mind with an amazing sense of humor and the gift to relate to people of all ages. She loved to share with her family and friends with her friends and fellow sisters, how a young student once told her that the reason that she never became sick was because she probably was born before the creation of germs. I'm sorry. Sister Andrea would laugh upon sharing this story as if it were the first time she had heard it. Amongst fellow parish priests and friends, it was well known that Sister Andrea was very fond of the iPhone and intrigued by YouTube technology. She would speak. It doesn't sound like any of the nuns that taught me when I was going to grammar school. Let's see, where was I? I was still going back to the creation of germs part. As I said, she would speak as if she wanted an iPhone, but most of her close friends knew that you could not give Sister Andrea personal gifts because she would either give them away or sell them and give the proceeds to the church. Sister Andrea was born on May 23rd, 1915, and raised in the small West Texas town named Balmorea, Texas. Sister Andrea taught elementary school catechism and was pastoral minister for 33 years in El Paso, Texas, and 37 years in Pacoima. Sister Andrea loved her fellow sisters within the Order of Religious Mary and Jesus at Guardian Angel and her beloved Pacoima community. Her fellow religious sisters feel that she will continue to serve the congregation from her very special vantage point in heaven, and they hope that she finds the heavenly fiesta as good as the ones that she prepared in Pacoima. She will be dearly missed. I think it's appropriate that she dedicated her life to the poor. For those of you that don't know, the Guardian Angel Church is next door to the San Fernando Gardens projects, and so she was well placed in her order. She is survived by sisters at the Guardian Angel Church and Father Steve and Father Freddie Rosales.
Adjourning motions, colleagues. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two adjourning motions. First, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Kristen Samantha Wong, who was born March 1980 and passed away July 2011. Kristen was preceded in death by her mother, Margaret. Kristen is the daughter of Steve Wong. Many of us remember Steve was a former commanding officer in LAPD in the Fiscal Support Bureau. He later became an assistant CAO, and then before retiring, he was an executive officer in the CLA's office. Kristen died unexpectedly at the age of 31. Her services will be at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills. Visitation is today, August 5th at 11 a.m. Funeral will be Saturday, August 6th at the Church of the Hills at 12:30 p.m. She's survived by her father, Stephen, and her brother, Garrett. We'd also ask that we adjourn in memory of Charles Aaron Smith, who's better known as Bubba Smith, a noted football player, actor, and also a longtime resident of Baldwin Hills community. Bubba Smith came on the scene as a 6'7", 280-pound defensive end. He was the #1 draft pick in the NFL from Michigan State and joined Baltimore Colts in '67. He was also played in 2 Super Bowls, the infamous New York Jets games, Super Bowl III, that the Joe Namath Bowl they call it, and also the Dallas Cowboys, in which he won in Super Bowl V. He later played for Oakland and also Houston. And we probably most remember him in the beer commercials that he had for a number of years with former football players for the Miller Lite. And then later he starred in 6 Police Academy movies as Moses Hightower as a police officer. He passed away just very recently, and also we may remember his brother Tody, who was a star at USC and also NFL, who happened to also have passed away in 1999. So we ask that we adjourn in his memory.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have two adjourning motions, and I stand in front of you to talk about Tisha Bedrosian. She was the founder and president of the Grassroots Venice Neighborhood Council. She just passed away on July 19th. With tremendous passion and leadership, Tricia spearheaded the formation of the Grassroots Venice Neighborhood Council. Even before the city of Los Angeles had a plan for how to form neighborhood councils, she engaged new people and new energy in community politics and projects. She was a citywide voice and force in the implementation of the neighborhood council system. Tisha understood the importance of community building and left an indelible mark in Venice. Tisha's dedication to grassroots democracy lives on in the Venice Neighborhood Council of today. In January of this year, Tisha was diagnosed with stage 4 advanced uterine cancer. She opted not to undergo traditional treatment and instead chose to take an alternative healing path. Unfortunately, the disease was already too far advanced for any treatment, be it alternative or traditional, to have made an impact. The disease eventually ran its course and took her from us much too early. Tisha passed peacefully in her sleep on July 19th, just 6 days after celebrating her 50th birthday. She's survived by her sister Chris and a host of close friends. Memorial services are being held this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Culver Event Center. That's 11934 West Washington Boulevard. Again, I want to say it's Saturday, August 13th. I misspoke. That is a week from Saturday, and the community will be there. Also, unfortunately, I want to announce the passing of Anthony David Camacho. Anthony David Camacho was a young man. He was born on January 20th, 1991. He was a fine and extremely talented young man, extraordinarily gifted in canvas painting as well as photography, in addition to being a writer of poetry. As with some folks, he had problems in this world, and on July 21st, Anthony sadly took his own life. He was only 20 years old. He's survived by his parents, Ruben and Ann Camacho, his sister, Jessica Camacho, his maternal grandparents, Henry and Maria Robinson, and a host of aunts, uncles, and cousins and friends, all of who share in the pain at the loss of not only a beautiful talent, but also a beautiful human being whose life now will be forever a memory of what was and a wonder of what might have been. It is for this reason that we are adjourning the council in his memory. And Mark Antonio Grant, my deputy, is right now at the funeral service. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. I have one adjourning motion. Milton J. Davidson passed away the 17th of July at Tarzana Hospital. He was born March 29, 1923, to Becky and Joseph Davidson at California Hospital in downtown Los Angeles. Lifelong Angelino, graduated from Los Angeles High School, obtained his undergraduate degree from UCLA in 1944, a law degree from USC in 1947. On August 22, 1948, he married Vivi Firmlin. He was the first and only lawyer in Woodland Hills for a period of 5 years when he began his practice in that community in 1949. Continued to work in Woodland Hills until 2002 when he retired. Remained active in the community affairs during his retirement. Respected as a person of integrity, he was renowned for his thoughtfulness, generosity, and dependability. Specialized in probate and estate planning law, was involved in various bar associations, particularly the San Fernando Valley Bar Association. Also did considerable pro bono work throughout his lifetime. His favorite activity was spending time with his lovely wife, Vivi. Milton and Vivi moved to Woodland Hills in '49, where they lived until 1967, when they moved slightly east to Tarzana. When he was working, Milt came home for lunch every day, and once he retired, they traveled the globe together, venturing to every continent, visiting far more than 100 countries. Milt was the longest surviving member of the Woodland Hills Chamber of Commerce, having joined in 1949. In 1952, Milt and Vivi, along with 11 other people, founded Temple Judea, where they continued to be generous supporters and members. In 1953, Milt was one of the founding members, serving as the charter secretary of the Woodland Hills Kiwanis Club, and for the past 58 years, he had perfect attendance. Most of those years, he served on the board, having been president in '58 and lieutenant governor in 1978. Was a life member of the Tarzana Cultural and Community Center, providing funding for Vivi's Secret Garden and Kitchen Garden. was also a life member of the Braemar Country Club. Generous benefactors, Milt and his wife sponsored Davidson Lecture Hall and the Davidson Family Political Leadership Internship at Claremont McKenna College, scholarships at Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies, and the Computer Media Laboratory Catholic University of American School of Library and Information Science, schools from which their sons obtained degrees. Survived by two sons, Kerry, a lawyer who lives in Los Angeles, and Scott Jeffrey, a fund manager who lives in Singapore, and his wife, Vivi, who turned 90 years old. I had an opportunity to go to dinner with them recently at a restaurant in Woodland Hills. Just a wonderful evening, just a wonderful family, wonderful man. May he rest in peace, Milt J. Davidson. Mr. Clerk. This completes this meeting of Los Angeles City Council. We are adjourned. We will convene next Tuesday in City Hall. Have a good weekend, Los Angeles.